Hello again. Today, I thought I'd do a nice video. Sometimes when I write about technology, I have to be, I don't know about mean, but I have to be honest and frank and not care about hurting people's feelings. I care about it, but I can't let that affect my work. I don't know why that's on my mind. It might be the fact that I'm finally finishing my Kindle Fire phone review. It's not a good phone. It's not a great phone. So I thought that I'd spend today's show talking all about various companies I like and why I like them. This is a negativity free zone. And let me prepare you for what's coming. I'm not when if I say nice things about a certain company, it doesn't mean that I'm unaware of things about it that are objectionable. That's not that I like everything they do or I think that they have an unblemished track record. I'm saying that for the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to say nothing but nice things that I believe in, sincere compliments about certain high profile companies. So let's start with Amazon. Uh, I really, really love their tenacity. In the very first paragraph of my review of the Kindle Fire Phone, of the Fire Phone, it's pretty blunt by saying, yeah, maybe you don't want to buy this one, but also reflects, has to acknowledge the fact that the first Kindle was not that good. It was overpriced. It was kind of ugly. It was very Soviet space shuttle kind of design. Uh, but they stuck with it and they came up with later generations that were very, very good. Same thing with the Kindle Fire, the color tablet. The first one was remarkable only in the idea that it was a halfway decent color tablet that cost half the cost of of an iPad, but lots of room for improvement. And I'll be damned, 2 years later, after the two more versions of it, it is, I sincerely think, that is as good as an iPad for different reasons that an iPad is good. But for people who aren't here to transform their relationship with technology and computing, they just want a device for reading books, surfing the web, watching movies, and other things that a lot of people associate a color tablet for. It's inexpensive, it's built really well, it has really great software, and it's a real win. The this is it's I'll keep repeating this when I talk about Amazon until it ceases to be something I truly believe. Jeff Bezos, he has his own spaceship company. He's building spaceships. This is a guy who understands the idea of investing something in something today because he believes that in a year or 5 years or 10 years it's going to be worth the time and trouble he took to put it. He has no problem thinking about the long view. The other thing that I really love about them is that they're not just focused on having devices that have really great lines and features and has let me tell you about how much better the screen is this year than last year, and telling you that, you know what, we increased the amount of storage in it, we improved the screen, we gave it a better CPU, and we doesn't cost you a penny more. Okay, that's nice, but it's just as impressive that the Kindle that the black and white Kindle that Amazon made in all those years ago that cost something like $435 now costs $80 or $90. And you think about all the people who can't even halfway afford a $300 or $400 tablet, and the idea that you spent $80 or $90, and now you have a device that can download tens of thousands of books for free and public all the classics of literature, and it gives you access to every book that is ever published that you can buy. And a device that is so inexpensive, you can let a kid have his or her own device instead of having to always borrow mom or dad's, or their older have one that all the siblings have to share. And $80 is still a lot of money for a great number of families, but it's a damn sight better than $500 or $400. So the fact that they are that committed to making sure, not leaving behind the people who cannot afford to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on consumer tech, that's one reason why I love Amazon. I can even say that I love Facebook. And here's why. They are the glue that keeps families bound together. They are the one standard that no matter how big of a tech lover or technophobe a member of the family is, they have heard of Facebook and they can figure out how to use Facebook. They can get it on their phone. They can get it on their tablet. They can get it on their Packard Bell 486 PC that they might still be using because, hey, it's, Windows 3 Windows 95 runs just fine for me, and I don't know why you want to have to mess up something that works. Please don't fact check on whether Windows 95 is running a web browser. I think it can, but it'd be beyond the technical capabilities of somebody who's still running Windows 95. But you know what I'm talking about. The idea of the formally written letter is not a habit that a lot of people are into these days. And so if you really do want to maintain a plugged-in relationship with your extended family, being plugged into their social media is part of the game. And the ability to simply be watching your nieces or your nephews or your cousins or your sisters or your grandchildren's feeds and getting these bits of information and being perfectly welcome to comment on, not just click a button and say like, but simply write a nice note that only you and the rest of the family is going to see, or something that only that person is going to see. It has not only do devices have to be affordable, like the way that Amazon makes the Kindle affordable, they also have to be accessible, and they can't be intimidating. And if you throw somebody who is not really that interested in developing a life online, and you throw them into this place where here is the 3 things you're going to have to set up and configure, and the 8 accounts you're going to have to figure out. Yes, your nephew is on 4 different pieces of social media, but there's Instagram. But you can get this link as long as you go from here to here. If they have Facebook, they probably have connections to most of their family, and for that reason, that's a very, very positive thing. I think about. I'm in that situation. I don't have to talk about older relatives. I am now the older relative to a bunch of people on this planet, and I'm happy to say that I'm in good contact with my nieces and nephews. Love them all. I love every bit of contact I have with them. But I also like these incidental bits of contact where maybe they wouldn't have emailed me. As if they still use email. You know, email was quite the thing in my heyday. We just vote all the way to ParrotNet and. Sorry. I like these incidental touches where I can just see that, hey, they posted a picture from a party they went to, or here's what they did at a soccer game, and that's really cool. And I have the ability to simply quickly not quickly, but in the sense of lack of effort on my part, but quickly in the sense of timely, say, I'm so proud of you. That's really great. You look great. I'm glad to, and also share with other members of my family as well. So for that's the reason why. I find I can love Facebook. Microsoft, I love them because, boy, they have a lot of responsibility. And I always flinch a little bit when I see some people giving them flack for, Microsoft could never have invented the iPhone, or Microsoft would never have come up with Twitter or something like this. And I think that that's very, very true for a lot of corporate culture reasons, especially the way that the company was run when the iPhone was being developed and when social media was on the upswing. But also, that's really not their. I'm not sure if they feel that sort of thing, innovation, is really their mandate. Their mandate is that they are the grease that keeps the gears of industry running. That they make Windows, and they make Microsoft Office, and they make Exchange. And these are the tools that no matter where you go in your working life, if you know how to use these 3 things, you can sit at a desk anywhere and get started right away. That's not necessarily true of Mac. That's certainly not true of Linux operating systems and anything else you might come to mind. It is the reason why Microsoft will always be important is that they have the job of keeping that stuff running and making sure that it's accessible, oftentimes at great cost to themselves, I think, because Apple is people who use Macs and people who use iPhones. The company's become very, very mainstream. That's true, but they are still able to exert some control over their own products because they can make a change and everybody will follow behind them. I'm not saying that is a bad thing at all, but I'm saying that they can create a situation in which almost nobody's going to be using iOS 10.5 because they created a new thing that all developers have to stick with, and they have to make apps that are that function with this new operating system and new APIs that are going to render previous versions of the operating system completely obsolete. If Microsoft tried to do that on a really widespread basis, they do not have the power to inflict that change on people because the people who are using Microsoft products are not necessarily fans of the technology that they're using. I mean, they don't fire up their PC because, I'm going to be my very best today, and here's the verse that I choose to write. Well, you are a bookkeeper at a large firm and you're processing expense accounts from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. You are not writing your verse. You are doing a job for which you are being paid, and you are very, very pleased that you are not forced to take 2 days of training to learn this brand new thing because some visionary at Microsoft decided to change everything all over the place. This is why Windows Vista was a big problem. Also, hardware incompatibility, a lot of crashes, but a lot of the usual familiar touches were gone. I think that's one of the reasons why Windows 8 was not a failure, but a lure. Well, it's definitely one of those two syllables. Not the first one, because that's incendiary, but it wasn't, let's just say it didn't light the world on fire. The fact that they have to support all these older operating systems shows that there are a lot of people out there that are simply happy with something that works, and for what their needs are and for what their relationship is with the technology, they value this set of procedures and operations that they understand inside and out over whatever benefit they would get by having to lose all of that experience and knowledge and start all over again. So it's a bit of a burden. I'm not saying that they're saintly Joan of Arc or something like that, but the problems faced by Microsoft are different from the problems faced by a lot of companies, because they are, in many ways, they are Atlas holding up the world. That's a big. They don't have the ability to do exactly everything they want, because the sort of agility that other companies get praised for would probably destroy Microsoft and also honk off all their users. And in the end, your job is to make your users happy, sometimes by doing things that annoy them, but if you annoy them too much, they simply go away. And it's, as much as I love Apple, I try to think of a world in which Apple has to try to do the job that Microsoft does, where they no longer have the freedom to only produce $1,000 laptops, where their budget line is $899. Where they can make these big sweeping changes. They can do that sort of stuff because the people who are there to simply get the fleet vehicle of computing, those needs are being covered by Microsoft, so they have room to go for the high-priced, high markup fruit elsewhere. Speaking of Apple, I absolutely love Apple. That's evident through what I've been writing about them for the past 10 or 20 years. Even when they do things that I don't like, that doesn't change the fact that I still think they're a terrific company. And the simple reason is that it's just that there's no other company that I get such a powerful sense that the people who work there love the stuff that they do, that they are invested, they believe in what they're doing, even when there's some rough edges on something, that they still think that, wow, we've got a great idea here, we just got to fix what doesn't work and polish the parts that we're so justly proud of. The number of times when I've had briefings with engineers and product managers who've worked on this stuff, and I genuinely love a feature that I've seen. It's not that they're nodding and they're smiling, and I recognize that expression. It's not, okay, great, we've got another one in our pocket. They don't do that. But the other, oh, isn't it? I'm so glad that we get to show this to people now, because I've known how great this thing is, and and this is the day that I can finally show everybody what we've been working on and all the care that we've put into this. And even the people who aren't that high profile, it's a job, it's a place to work. But I don't think I've met anybody at Apple that is not an exceptional person doing something that they seem to enjoy doing, which is probably why after a certain number of years, a lot of them decide to leave the company to move on to do something else, because when you love that intensely, burnout is always a risk. But there's always that love for what they do. There are not a whole lot of companies that, if they refer to a device as magical, or they use these lofty terms about, again, what will your verse be today, that this is more than just simply something that they thought would test well with the market that they're trying to target to. I do get the impression they actually believe that sort of stuff, and that is exactly the reasons why I love them so much. Well, that's 4, and I wanted to make this a short one because you guys got a long weekend. I'm sure that you're keeping an eye on the corn or the cob. You're watching this. If it's 15 minutes, then the corn's probably done by now. So, thanks for watching. See you next time.